Hey, I'm Mrs. Two Star Wars Nerds,
And I'm Mr. Free Star Wars Nerd.
and today we're so excited because we're going to talk about what we want to see in Star Wars in live action and shows and video games. We're just going to dream of what two fans want to see in our favorite franchise.
Yeah, I mean that is probably like for fans such a beautiful topic. And yeah, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I want to see, I want to see redemption for Luke, Han, and Leia. Don't know that we'll ever get that, and that's another story for another stream. But I really want to see Luke after Return of the Jedi. Like, that is my dream. I would love to see it in live action. But honestly, I'd be fine with a cartoon because obviously
Yeah.
people have changed and they're older. So obviously it's not going to look right. So I'd be fine with a cartoon because I want to see that story. And it's just like a Clone Wars, how they did Clone Wars and they animated the characters.
So also the same style of animation.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome to essentially give us
Yeah.
Clone Wars style for Luke, and even if we could get the World Between Worlds or something, and then also get Han and Leia,
Yeah.
and more of like the Heir to the Empire, that route. If we could,
Yes, very very good choice. Yes,
haven't fully finished that book yet, but I love it so much so
great
far.
book, great series.
Yeah, I like I like that Luke drinks hot chocolate. That's my favorite. If I could
Yeah,
see that, be so good. But yeah, that's really what I want to see. Like, I want to see Luke training Leia. I'm down for Grogu. Grogu can still be in it. I'm all for Grogu, but I want to see him rebuilding the Jedi temple and rebuilding Jedi, because really it's only him. So that's my desires. What I would, if I was in charge of Star Wars, that is the direction we would be going. That's the thing I want to see most. I have some other ideas, but why don't you share one of your ideas?
Yeah, of course. Well, first of all, I absolutely love that idea. I think the idea of having something similar to what we had for prequel characters like Anakin and Obi-Wan, and just explore them even more in the Clone Wars. Having that for Luke, Han, and Leia, and Chewie, and all the others, I think would just be fantastic. And I think it would just bind all of the different parts of the trilogies together, and just give it way more story or like character development also.
Yes.
Just give us more insight into these characters and how their victory essentially over the Empire has changed or made them evolve as characters.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for me, I grew up with the prequels. I absolutely love the prequels, and obviously I probably can never get enough of that timeline. Like, some of my favorite stories that I've read about were like books like Labyrinth of Evil, which is essentially, it's not canon anymore, but the story itself is very like just in the midst of the war driven, and also still very connected to the politics and what was going on. And also like Dark Lord. But I would probably really want a story in live action of like maybe like just a really just straightforward normal squad of clones, so sort of similar maybe to the 501st Journal of the OG Battlefront, and just like explore, like make it similar maybe to Domino Squad. You actually have a series where you just follow, like, I mean, in Clone Wars we had Domino Squad, but essentially we still only got their training, their first mission. Well, and then after Fives and Echoes, ARC Troopers, but still, like, it was like, it's some of the best parts of Clone Wars in my opinion. And I think you could really evolve more out of that idea of following a group of clones that just live through the war and like have their experiences. And I think that could be a really interesting series. And overall, I think the Clone War itself is just such an interesting timeline that has so many stories to be told and so many opportunities. So, and I feel like they haven't explored it that much. I think the best insight we got, what like actual battles were like, was probably the Umbara arc in Clone Wars. That is probably like the real, like the best insight, and probably also the Ryloth arc with all the Twi'leks, that like sometimes they took them hostage, and on other worlds like Umbara, the locals were actually on the side of the Separatists. So we got kind of both spectrums, and I think that is like just really interesting how certain populations or certain planets drew their own unique problems. And then on the other hand, we had that one arc with damn, I forget his name, but where they basically send Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka and Rex to train rebel forces that fight against, so to speak, the ruling order that is on the side of the CIS, but like the lower population is sort of on the Republic side as rebels. But yeah, I think that is just something that you could draw a lot of really great stories of, and that would probably something that I would really love to see at some point.
And you said live action for that?
Yeah, I mean that would be the sort of wish.
Right, and I think they could pull that off, live action.
Yeah,
that'd be super cool.
Yeah, I mean they're not going to do anything like that in the near future anyway.
Probably not.
Because I mean, let's be real. I mean, with Ahsoka, Kenobi, and everything, I think we're pretty stacked on the series for the near future.
Right.
But at some point, like went down the line, I mean, at some point they could just revisit those timelines, and I mean, at that point, the technology is probably so good you can literally deepfake Tamora Morrison perfectly.
Right.
So you don't even have the problem of like, how do we manage like clones taking off their helmets and talking to each other? I think at that point we're beyond that problem. But yeah, I think that would be like one of my biggest dreams of something ever coming to live action.
Yeah, that'd be cool, because almost even what I'm thinking is like obviously it's focused on a specific clone unit, like you said, but it'd be cool to have, it's almost like Clone Wars in live action. Like that'd be super, super cool. But
yes,
because it'd be so entertaining, there'd be so much action. Can you imagine if they redid Clone Wars in live action? Like, how cool would that be?
That would be pretty amazing. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone would ever say no to that. I think the only reason why I would say rather go with a new story is probably because I think the Clone War in itself serves its purpose so well.
It does.
That I don't think I even need to see it in live action. I think the way it is, it's just purely awesome in the way it is. And I think if I would see something of that timeline again, I would prefer to see a new corner sort of the galaxy. But yeah, I mean, it's just such an interesting timeline, I think.
It is. I love anything from that timeline, the prequels. I love them.
Yes.
Because I grew up with them too. I think another thing that would be really cool to see is, I don't know exactly how to do or how to pitch it, so I'd have to like think about it more. But like something on Chewie, like following Chewie, because like he's such a cool character. He's so awesome, and I think Chewie's so cool. He doesn't need a lot of screen time, but at the same time, I want to see more of him. You know, like, I know we've seen little bits of his past and all that, but I love Chewie, and I'd love to see more of him. And maybe that is still in the first thing I said, you know, with Luke, Han, Leia, and Chewie. But yeah, I want to see kind of a Chewie-focused live action. I think that'd be cool. But I don't know where in the timeline or exactly what about.
I think, first of all, yeah, I mean, Chewie, definitely. I mean, Chewie, come on.
Yeah.
It's literally like one of the coolest Wookiees. Like, I'm sorry, Chrysanthemum, yeah, you're badass, but Chewie's the GOAT.
Yep. You ain't got
Chewie's
nothing
the OG.
on Chewie.
But yeah, I mean, essentially, Chewie is kind of, I mean, we know more of Chewie, which I'm going to bring up the character that I'm going to compare it to, but Chewie is sort of the good guy, or like the counterpart good guy version of like Boba in a way, because he was sort of like that, like really recognizable character, but we didn't really know too much about him. I mean, at the end of the day, he's more like, well, part of the crew, but I mean, he's a Wookiee. We don't even understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
I mean, if Han wouldn't like the way he answers him, if he would answer him a bit more shortly, we wouldn't even know what he was just like answering him to. So,
right.
But yeah, I think one of the most interesting parts of Chewie's history for me would be pretty much like right off the bat after Episode 3, because obviously we see him with Tarful and saying goodbye to Yoda.
Right.
But I mean, at that point, like the clones are like completely taking control of the planet in like Order 66, so they're not that friendly to Wookiees anymore.
Right.
So I think like just the way everything evolved, and obviously at some point, seeing in Solo, he ends up being enslaved or like captured. So
right.
It would be kind of interesting whether or not that happens right away, or if he actually manages to like get off world, escape, and then gets captured at some point. But I think that is like really just a time period that I think for Chewie would be very interesting, because he would probably be mainly alone.
Yeah. So that, I mean, Chewie's one of my favorite characters. So I always, but like I said, he's also so great we don't necessarily need it. It's just like that would be cool.
Right.
But what's another thing that you'd like to see?
More clone. No, I'm kidding. You can never get enough Clone Wars. No.
That's true.
I recently thought about it. I was on a Discord server and we kind of talked about stuff that we would want to see, and I think one of the ideas that also struck me the most with like fleshing out certain characters was someone brought up what if we ever got something like the Journal of Jango, and that idea just was sort of catching me off guard because it was something that I didn't really think about too much, but thinking about it now more, and just like thinking back to content that we had in the comics of Open Seasons and the Bounty Hunter game, that would honestly be also a project that could be very, very interesting. And obviously, I mean, Jango, the father of Boba, I mean, you know that I'm sold on that, so...
Yeah.
And also kind of like just getting to know the backstory of Jango and his Mandalorian heritage is something that most people probably don't know about, but it's really interesting and quite tragic. Just the entire story of then him becoming a bounty hunter and then at some point having Boba. And I think it could also be very beneficial to see the interactions between Jango and Boba and to further understand why Boba is the way he is.
Absolutely.
But I think that is also like, it is sort of in the prequel realm, but it's more before the prequel, so
yeah.
Give me a break.
Yeah, I love that. I think that'd be super cool because Jango's awesome, and there's not much on screen about him. So yeah, we need more of that. I think we should each share one more for a total of 3, but I will have one honorable mention before my third. I think it'd be cool to just get some way outer rim, new characters, new planets, stuff we've never seen. And that's really all I can say about that because it's stuff we've never seen, but just stuff that's out there. But my third, I think, would be it's along Clone Wars, but almost getting different perspectives. So like, what was Padme's perspective in certain situations, or what was Palpatine doing, like more behind the scenes, because we're seeing all from the Jedi's perspective. So yeah, what's happening in the politics in the Senate, what's happening behind with Palpatine. I think that'd be really cool, just fleshing that out more, making it even, because Clone Wars is already so great, but if we could see more of that story, I think it'd be so cool.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that's like one of my hopes, that we'd partially get something like that in the Andor series, because I feel like since he mentions in Rogue One, like, I've been in this fight since age of 6, or since I was 6 years old, which if you go back, because like we know his age in Rogue One, and if you go back, that means he was talking about the Clone War. So if they go into a deep dive of his character and why he is the way he is, I really hope that we get sort of another perspective of CIS-friendly planets that got attacked or invaded by the Republic, and sort of see the clones as the bad guys when at the time they were still technically the good guys, like pre-Order 66. I think that kind of stuff, and like, I mean, they kind of did it they're doing it now with in Mando. They've done it with the Imperials and the Rebels, sort of to just show like the Stormtroopers essentially are also like, I mean, they're still bad, don't get me wrong, but essentially they're also people, like, they're cheering for their brothers, so to speak, or for their friends. And I think that is something that I think is really cool. And in a way, I know most people aren't a big fan of like the fleshing out the Tuskens as actual like living beings that are not just after killing people. I personally really like that. It makes it more realistic, because it's just unrealistic that they are just killing for the sake of killing, like, all the time, or like that all tribes are the same.
Right.
But I think getting these different perspectives of different factions is very interesting, and something that there's so much to be explored. So yeah, I think that is a great idea.
Me too.
And,
do you have a third one?
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking about it, because I've been talking about like 2 prequel sort of timelines. I think for the timeline of maybe the actually, I think I'll go even farther back in time and go to the Old Republic, because I think as long as I can remember that I have known the cinematic trailers for the Old Republic game, I can remember that I kept on asking myself why we never got a show, a movie in that animation style for that timeline, because I mean they've recently published a 4K version, and honestly, I mean the original already looked really good, but it looks breathtaking. Honestly, if they would bring us a series like that in that style, 100% people would watch it. Especially if it has the right tone and like sort of that lightsaber choreography, and it just opens so many possibilities. I think one reason why people love it so much is because it sort of gives creators the opportunity to show sort of the perfect Jedi, or the most powerful Jedi in a way, because I mean obviously with live action and stuff, people still have to sort of do their own stunts. So when you have like fights, you can't have them like jumping with like loops and stuff and like twirl around every time. But with animation you can, and because they're Force users, you would believe it. And I think that is just the aspect that I think would just be awesome to see that in that sort of series. Honestly, I think that animation style is the best bet for that kind of story. I think in that case, live action could actually hinder the storytelling. But I think that is just, and also because I don't even know that much about the Old Republic, but I remember as a kid when I watched those, I was just like, that is Star Wars, and I want to see more.
That's so cool.
Yeah, but I think that would probably be my third sort of dream wish, that at some point when the time is right.
Yeah, that would be so cool to see.
Okay, let us know your thoughts and ideas in the comments. And with that said, may the Force be with you.
Always.